Good morning, everybody.
Morning.
Welcome to the Help Yourselves podcast. This morning from the other side of our country, I've got Marisa. Marisa, how are you doing?
Yes, very well, thank you. The weather's looking up, so that
Yeah,
always makes a difference.
it makes a huge difference. I'm just back from a week in the sun and I was like, oh, I find it always a wee bit hard to recalibrate back to the darker climes. Anyway, we're not here to talk about that. We're here to talk about your incredible business. Now, you and I met almost by accident in the
Yes.
Health Hub. I was doing some tours and obviously you kind of joined in the tour and I discovered all the incredible stuff that you were doing in Edinburgh, in a very central part. It's near Haymarket, isn't it?
Very near Haymarket Station, yes, in Coates Place.
But before we go into your premises and what you've got on offer there, just talk a little bit about how your journey and how you came to, very much like me, want to have all the things that you know are really powerful and helpful available in Scotland. So can you give us an overview?
Sure. So my background anyway is in microbiology and genetics, biochemistry. But, you know, as you do, you study and then you go off traveling and you don't always follow the path that you studied for a while. My husband, about 8.5, going on 9 years ago, got cancer, and it was quite bad. It was stage 4 when he was diagnosed. And I just went down a rabbit hole, went back to what I knew, biochemistry, biology, retrained in nutritional therapy. So I went back to study and just went on this journey, this healing journey with him. But what we discovered, the biggest thing, was actually not the stress of the disease or the stress of, you know, sometimes dealing with the system, was that you read about so many things that would be so beneficial for him and that would help him, and it was nowhere to be found. Nowhere. Back then, even finding stuff in London was difficult. So we actually traveled. We had to do a bit of traveling to Mexico and, you know, places like Germany, to those clinics to see if we could help him. And I learned so much along the way from that and saw what they offer in their clinics. And to me, it was a no-brainer. You know, it's just some way to go. The stress, when you walk through the door, the stress just comes off of you completely, because somebody's there to tell you, oh, you just do this, do this, do this, do this, do this. And we've done all the research and we've done, you know, we found all the best therapies for you. And you just have to come in the morning, or you just have to come in the afternoon. And so the dream was always to bring that back to the UK, to Scotland at some point. And I started off practicing online for many years and supporting clients in a lot of chronic immune-mediated conditions and cancer. And then that led into, you know, another journey of integrative metabolic oncology, which I now work in. And eventually, almost a year ago, I managed to find a small premises and thought, right, let's start, you know, and get some of these therapies there. But really, when I work with my clients, it is, if I don't have it, I'm sourcing it for them, because I found that that was the most stressful part of the journey, was just trying to find things, and especially for the advocates of the individual that's ill.
Yes.
So the individual that's fighting for their life, that's all they're focusing on. The person that's standing by their side probably has even more stress, you know, because you're trying to help this person and you're reading so much and you're trying to resource it, and it's just, you know, it's a minefield. So that's really what I wanted to create. And that's when, you know, Health Hub does the same thing. It's almost like a one-stop shop for people. You know, we do the research and
when, you know, when I discovered this place, I sent a message out to my, you know, fairly large community of people who have been, you know, trying other things, and particularly people that have been diagnosed stage 4. who are still well and very capable of doing a lot of different things that can make a difference. They all said, every single one of them, and I maybe emailed about 20 people, they all said without exception, they would love everything under one roof.
Exactly. Yeah.
And, and that guidance, I was actually working with a girl yesterday and she was saying, I'm going to make up a booklet of all the things that have really helped me so that anybody who gets diagnosed, you can say, here, this is where you can start. Because, the internet's wonderful and I really do believe where we're at because we've been able to share information that previously could not be shared. And that's, whether that was intentional or not, it doesn't really matter. It was much, much more difficult to get new information out, and it's not now. But in amongst all of that, of course, you get all the confusion.
Yes.
About what's right and what's wrong. And I don't think there is one single protocol or therapy that you won't hear great things about and terrible things about.
Yes.
And if you're already in a deep state of fear, then that is just, it stalls you into inaction. That's what I've found. We have to just be really clear and mindful and purposeful. And so your husband is well now.
Oh, very well. Yes. Very well, and started studying a PhD and doing extremely well and completely in the clear now. But, it was very difficult. And I hear this from clients that come to me where they say they've spoken with their oncologist and there's nothing more that can be done. Because that's what that's what they get told. There's nothing more that gets done. And I try and make the message clear to them that it's not that the NHS is, trying to hide things. Their hands are tied. Their doctors' hands are tied. And they genuinely, that is all that they can offer you because they only have 3 tools in their toolbox. So chemo, radiation, surgery, well, and now immunotherapy. So let's say 4. But that is all that they can offer you. So if that stops working, then there is nothing more. But that doesn't mean that there is nothing that can be done. There are loads of tools in the toolbox. But the problem is like you say, the confusion. It's putting all those tools into one comprehensive protocol or plan that's easy for the client and it's sustainable for the client to follow at home. And there's so much that can be done, and this was the point. But I want to take that burden off of individuals. I want to say, let me do the research. I understand the science. Let me find therapies that I know have shown to be beneficial for this particular type of cancer or for your particular type of genetics, so that you're not wasting money and that where you're putting your money, you're getting some benefit.
Absolutely, because that's another thing that I see. People come to me with reams of information around their metabolism, their genes, their deficiencies, etc., but they're still unwell. There still is this, right? Okay, well, the tests can cause as many problems as they can solve from where I'm standing, because it's like, unless do a test that we're like, well, right, okay, when we discover something, this is what you do. Rather than just blindly testing and getting all this information and still being sick and having spent, people I'm talking to in here are spending hundreds and some often thousands of pounds desperately searching on how to get well.
Right. And I see this so many times. I get clients referred to me and they say, I want to do this test, I want to do that test. And I say, no, we have to fix the foundations first. It's terrain first. It doesn't matter how many tests you have or how many test results you have. Of course, we will test at some point. But I always say to people, if you're going to test, know what the purpose is for you testing. Are you going to change your protocol based on the results? If I'm giving you something to work on the foundations, and I'm sure we'll get into this, the whole ancestral medicine, light, water, grounding, all the basics, changing the terrain. If we don't have that set in place, I'm not changing the protocol based on the results, because that is the foundation. That is the foundation of any good protocol.
Absolutely. And the kind of idea, and we had this when we had our gym in Glasgow, it's like, how long do you have to do it for? Because everybody wants to be at the end of it. And I'm like, it's like your garden. You know, you can get the gardener in and you can get the grass cut and the weeds out and the hedges trimmed. And then you go on holiday, you know, for a few weeks and you come back and the garden's the same. It's a daily tending of the terrain. And obviously, you know, there's the body's pretty robust and pretty clever. We're all still alive, so that proves that point. But really, what we're seeing now is unprecedented levels of suffering. I'm sure you're seeing the same. People are exhausted. Their bodies are heavy and painful. Their brains are foggy, and you know they don't have a terminal diagnosis, but it's ruining their quality of life. And a lot of people are saying to me, I just don't want to be here like this. It breaks my heart, you know, because the information, when the changes are made, and we all know there's a small percentage actually do what you tell them to. But the people that do, and this is why I'm so keen on the community thing, and you know, people like us that, you know, we've got Aldo in Stirling, we've got Kathleen over in Dunfermline. We all need to be pulling together to create these communities of people that can eat together, have fun together, and, you know, work on all the things that we know, get into the hills and the rivers and the streams, and really just get back to nature, because light as well, you know, it's difficult in Scotland because obviously it's dark a lot, you know, and it's wet a lot, so it can be a challenge to be outside as much as you'd like to be. And then you've got the midges in the West Coast. So let's talk about how we're redressing these imbalances. So tell us about your place. Tell me about the name. How did you choose that name?
I don't know. It's a combination of ultimate and vita, so vitality. So ultimate vitality. But because that's ultimately what we are looking for is vitality. And, you know, it's just something that, just to touch on something that you said, we all, you know, a lot of people fear the big C word, but majority of us are actually walking around feeling more, can I say crap on the stream? Yes. Feeling more crap, and actually in a much more diseased state than even some people that do have cancer. Absolutely. And cancer is not the problem.
Yeah, no. Exactly. I see that all the time. It's very interesting because I've been doing so many readings, you know, biofeedback readings. I'm really starting to see a lot of patterns. And, you know, obviously there's the parasitic infections, there's fungus, Lyme, etc., mold, biofilms, all of that stuff, and the you know, leaky gut. And very often, you know, you'll see somebody who's maybe not dreadfully what you would call on the biofeedback in the red, but they can still be miserable being in the amber. Yeah. You know, so, and then you get other people who are red, and they're not as bad, you know. So I'm starting to really see that you've got to listen to the person about how they're feeling. You know, and also it depends. I was listening to Josh Axe. I'm a big fan of him this morning. He was saying, obviously, when you become very vulnerable, then it's the stress that almost like puts the fire, you know, the bellows into the fire, because you can't. How did we ever separate the mind and the body? It's crazy that you think these two things are separate, and how the digestive system is so impacted by chronic stress. And that stress what I'm seeing, tell me if you're seeing this, dental work, a lot of infections in the mouth. Just because I'm like that now. I know you've got a thermographer through in Edinburgh. I've not met them or spoke to them yet. And obviously my friend Stuart Wright, who's a Scotland's holistic dentist, I'm just sending them all. I'm like, we need, before we can start on the microbiome, but if there's infection in here that's leaking into your organs, we have to get that addressed.
People don't realize that that's an opening. I think people, because we've got this mindset that systems are all isolated, you don't realize that your digestive system starts here, not here in the gut where everybody looks and wants to chuck probiotics in. It starts here. And I'll tell you this, that one of the main root causes of my husband's illness was his mouth.
Yeah.
So he had an infected root canal for many, many years that had completely liquefied the inside of his jaw. And we had to work quite a while with a dentist in Germany. And actually, we also worked with Stuart Wright as well.
Oh, did you? Oh, so you know Stuart then?
Yeah, I know Stuart, yeah. I think everybody in the industry, you all get to know each other.
Yeah.
Because you're referring amongst each other. You know, not this is what I say to clients as well. I can't do everything. We have to collaborate. Practitioners have to collaborate. We are a community, a practitioner community as well. Because my clients are saying, and this is what I put together, is if I can't do it, I found somebody for you that can. But you still come to me and I give you all the information. So it's still like a one-stop shop. You know, so I work with integrated dentists and I send a lot of my clients. In fact, majority of my cancer clients will go off to the dentist.
Yes.
To see what's going on in the mouth. When we went to Mexico and we walked through the door, we met a patient coordinator and she said, this is your plan and your first appointment is with the dentist. And at that stage, we didn't know much.
Yes.
And we were like, no, I think there's been a mistake. We're not here to see the dentist. He actually has cancer. She goes, yeah, the oncologist won't see you until you've seen the dentist.
Yes. Yeah. Well, one of my clients here had 7 infected root canals. And she said to her oncologist, why did you never look at that? And of course, we just know that wouldn't happen. And also, she sent me a link last night showing that infected root canals can cause hair loss. Not like alopecia areata, but like, you know, like general hair loss that you put down usually to the menopause or something. And I was like, wow. But of course, the body's so busy fighting the infection, it's not got the energy to do everything else that we're asking it, we need it and want it to do.
Yeah, it's one of the therapies that I offer in the clinic. And because I collaborate with some integrative dental practices, if they've had cavitation surgery or they've had tooth removed, they'll come into my practice and do some ozone therapy. So it's like putting in a mouth guard, and then we infuse the gums and the jaw with ozone to make sure that we're killing off everything there.
Yes.
You know, there are a lot, I don't know if I'm allowed to say this, but there are studies out there, there are links to show that in a lot of women that have breast cancer, a lot of them have a root canal on the same side as the breast.
Yeah, well, that's, I mean, the thermography, you could actually see that clearly, that you could see the little red dots of pockets of infection. And I didn't see it, but Jonathan was saying that you could actually see the line coming down.
Yeah.
So, I mean, this is critical information to understand.
It drains into your lymphatics.
I know. And it's such a, I mean, I always talk about how the dentist, and I mean, back in the day, like what, 50, 60 years ago, you know, my mum was taking me to the dentist thinking she was doing a good thing. And then they started putting mercury in my mouth at 5. I mean, no wonder, you know, it's like, what on earth?
Yeah.
But again, when you just see the body as a big meat suit of biology that's everything's separate, everything's contained, then
I honestly believe that the mouth is where most chronic illness starts.
Yeah, absolutely. Because
I know that
and what you're not putting into it.
Yeah, and I know we focused heavily on the gut, and of course the gut, yes, because that's where your immune system sits. But we've got to remember that that's still downstream from, you know, why the microbiome is unbalanced, why you have all this mess going on in the gut is because there's something that's coming into it from the top that's causing disruption. So, yeah.
Well, Stuart and Abdul, you know, they're opening up in Crow Road in Partick.
Yes, and they're going to be working with another amazing dentist who I collaborate with, Dr. John Roberts.
Where's
And
he?
he's based he lives in Perth, but they're going to be Stuart and John are going to be working together.
Oh, brilliant.
So
Brilliant. Yeah, I met the young dentist at Stuart's party. I was over at his 70th birthday party, and they were just saying what they're learning from him. You know, they just didn't know that the teeth were in the part. I mean, it blows my mind that anybody nowadays could not know that stuff, but people don't. And you've been trained, and you're assuming your training's been this kind of world-class standard, and then you realise. And one of the guys said to me, he said, I don't want to make people unwell. I want to make people better. And the reality is a lot of the old dental work made people sick. It's as simple as that. And some people, I mean, I've got a friend of mine, she became very ill after 6 mercury fillings, and she ended up meeting a naturopath. She was only 26 at the time, but she ended up on the sofa being spoon-fed by her mum. But it was 6 months previously she did the fillings, did not in any shape or form put 2 and 2 together. Went for a massage at the local pool, and the girl said, why don't you go and see this naturopath? And he took some blood tests and sent them to Germany, because, I mean, that's the other thing. A lot of our tests are not fit for purpose. And it came back, she was poisoned with 6 different metals, and she took it into the dentist and said, are any of these in my fillings? And he said, they all are. But we still continue. And so she got them extracted, and she worked with a naturopath, and she's now well. But how many people are suffering? Because obviously she was an extreme case, but it just killing your joy for life, because, you know, and you're thinking there's something wrong with you, and you don't realise there's something in your mouth that's leaking into your gut.
You just don't realise. You think you've done the right thing going to the dentist.
I know.
And I do get this a lot, so I just want to clear this up. I do have some people say to me, well, I've had fillings all my life and I feel fine. And then that's where we have to go to very personalised medicine, because some individuals may be genetically predisposed to not being able to actually detox those metals. And so that can cause a bottleneck for them. And it doesn't mean because it's okay for some people, that other people can't be affected.
Absolutely. Yeah, and Stuart always says about that, people come to him and to get their mercury out, and they think they're going to be dancing, back down the street, which obviously some people get very quick relief, but others don't, because there's other things at play. And that's obviously why we have to kind of work together, and more longer term. I mean, that's what I've been trying to say here. It's that we have to be looking at least a year, preferably 2 years and 3 years. This is the idea that you're going to get fixed. I mean, we know the microbiome can change in 5 days, but that's no use if you don't maintain it for the other 360. So it's the daily maintenance and the understanding of that, and giving the body what it needs to do the repair and restoration. And so tell us what you have in your place. What's the address?
It's number 3 Coates Place in Edinburgh. I don't know if you need the postcode. It's EH37AA. Very close. There's loads of transport links there. We've got the trams, the buses, the train, so it's very, very easy to get to. That's
a big help.
Yes, absolutely, because we do have people coming from other parts of the country. We have a hyperbaric oxygen chamber, which is, when you try and look at all the things that make you healthy, which is what you do in the Health Hub as well, and you understand ancestral medicine, and you look at light, oxygen, water, all the elements that actually create the foundation of this body that we live in. So that's really what we're trying to simulate, isn't it, in the clinic?
Absolutely.
Especially, like you said before, in Scotland, when we don't have all the luxury of the light and weather and everything else. So we've got a hyperbaric oxygen chamber for, this is critical in a lot of chronic illnesses, and then especially cancer. Obviously there are some caveats, so I don't I don't want people listening to this with cancer thinking, I just need to get in there. It still needs to be personalized. We have a red light therapy and pulsed electromagnetic frequency, same as the Health Hub. We have ozone therapy. So I do various types of ozone therapy. We can do it, we do the mouth and gum. We can do it into the nose for sinuses, trying to get rid of, especially for mold. That's quite a good one. We do anal insufflation and vaginal insufflation, which is really effective for females. I've had a lot of females come to me, and even just postmenopausal ladies, that aren't necessarily ill, but finding benefit from that. And then, of course, we do it as what's called major autohemotherapy, where we actually remove out 200 mils of blood, infuse the ozone into the blood, and then infuse the blood back in.
Cool. I didn't know you did that. That's awesome.
What you're getting from that? It's ozone therapy, major autohemotherapy. I think I'm the only one with that machine in Scotland. So it's a German machine. So it's all, the Germans are amazing with all the things. There's, ozone's been used for many years in Germany.
Yes. Yeah,
and
absolutely.
it's used as standard practice in a lot of clinics. Certainly in dentistry, they use it a lot as well. So we have that. We have molecular hydrogen inhalation, which is also great for, that's great for brain fog as well. And then I do collaborate with some other doctors that come and do some IV therapy for me and do mistletoe therapy. So I have a doctor that comes up from down south, Dr. Debs. She can do mistletoe therapy and also, amazing IVs. And we run IV clinics monthly. And then I work with another amazing doctor that does high dose vitamin C. And that is actually a service that can be offered nationwide, because he himself also works with a whole group of nurses across the country, across the UK. Yes. So we can get, and it's convenient because the nurse comes to your home and you get your infusion at home, and you're with a nurse that's medically trained. So it's all, you're really safe.
Yeah. Fantastic. So because the vitamin C obviously has become very popular as well for people with cancer. I always think as well, that I have a great belief in faith for healing and meditation and connection to source. But I also understand that when people are scared and low and vulnerable, and that these things can be a massive psychological as well as physical help, because it's almost like, I remember when we set up our gym, which we specialise in vibration training, but I realised it was too different from a conventional gym. So you need to kind of take people step by step and say, well, instead of having this, you can have this. So you're replacing what they would normally get, and it just helps people feel safer until they can get their confidence and their energy back up, because I'm sure you see that as well. If people feel well, they believe they're well. And if they're not feeling well, then their mind can go to very dark places. And when I tell people to cleanse, I always, I say, I've got to tell you, you can feel worse before you feel better.
Yes.
But there's not even if you go to the NHS, that would be the case.
The mind is the big thing. When we worked with that dentist in Germany, he was actually an oncology doctor before that.
Right.
And he gave us an amazing, because that was the one thing that my husband always had, was just this positive outset. We were told to take him home, make him comfortable, that it wouldn't be long.
Really?
And his reaction to that was, whatever.
And you see, that's the different personality types. Other people get flattened with grief and fear before anything else has ever happened.
But when we give them options, it's because when you give somebody news with no option, it's with anything in any industry. It can be, I could be working in HR, I could be working in quality, construction. You bring a problem to a table with no solutions, no options. You are going to feel disheartened. You're going to, it doesn't look like there's light at the end of the tunnel. So, and I think people need a plan. But when we were with this dentist in Germany, he said that he had stage 1 people coming in. So what they saw over and over and over again was people coming in, similar age, same gender, same sort of lifestyle, and they had the same cancer type, but one was stage 1, one was stage 4. And automatically what you would think there is that this one is easy to fix and this one might die.
Yes.
Actually, it was the opposite. And some of those stage 1 individuals could die within months. And he said they started tracking it to see what was happening and what the differences were. And there were only 2 differences. And it was the mind and nutrition.
Yeah.
And those 2 things made a huge difference. And I say to people when they come in, the absolute thing that we work on first and foremost is your nervous system. Because you cannot heal when your nervous system thinks you're running away from a lion.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I see that as well. People are tired and wired. In my HRV machine, you can see the brain activity, and it's it's just like all the gates are open, all the tabs are open. It's just chaos. And often, from what I'm seeing, often that can be caused by what's going on in the gut. Certainly not me. So it's that chicken and egg. We have to work with the gut and the nervous system at the same time, because the biggest nerve gets in everywhere, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's one of the reasons why I love the hyperbaric oxygen chamber so much, because it has a huge amount of benefits, right? Don't need to explain that to you. I mean, the number of benefits it has. But one of the benefits is that it actually, the oxygen infuses into the vagus nerve and completely calms the vagus nerve. And I have people in extremely intense, high pressured jobs that will come there just to use the hyperbaric chamber, just to feel the calm, because they say nothing calms them more than that chamber.
Yeah.
And
I mean, it's just
that vagus nerve. Yeah.
It is so wonderful. So listen, I mean, I could keep you on here all day talking, because I know you're talking at conferences, you're writing courses, you're looking at diet and Alzheimer's. I mean, that we literally, you've got so much going on. I know you're so busy. But so I really, really appreciate the time, and it's lovely to see you, and I'm so excited about what you're bringing to Scotland. You can definitely start to feel the energy changing, can't you? People are now
absolutely.
And I think even the hyperbaric oxygen for people who are doing conventional treatment is so helpful.
Very helpful.
Again, there's a few contraindications, but in general, it's going to help you pre-treatment, post-treatment. It's just an absolute no-brainer. And Kathleen in Dunfermline, she rents them out. So I think, because we've got this demographic situation, haven't we, that we know that not everybody can get to us. So I think being able to rent some of this equipment into your house, or to try and bring it into your community, that's my big vision now, is to really get this out to the people that are open-minded and wanting to try, because it's not for everybody. Some people just like the system and they just go with that.
Absolutely. It's like you said before with faith. You've got to believe in what you're doing.
Absolutely. And I say that always, because I'm sure you see this too. The family want to get involved with the choices that people are making. And it's like, no, it's, you have to allow them to make their own choices, even when you disagree wholeheartedly. It's still their body, their choice. And all we can do is get the information out, talk about the incredible things that we're seeing, and we are seeing remarkable results. So I'm just so excited about it all.
I'm very excited. There's definitely a shift. And yes, and you're 100% right. The mind, the body does what the mind thinks. So it doesn't matter.
Your body's been running the show. It's time for you to get back at the helm and tell the body what's happening. It's as simple as that, because we've become the victim of all the symptoms, and we're not the symptoms, and we can give the body completely new information. And the oxygen and the light and the pain, mimics nature. Somebody said to me, "Oh, fake nature." I said, "Yeah."
Well, we have to, unfortunately, because we actually live in a bit of a fake world at the moment. So, fake lighting, fake everything. So
exactly. So it's all part of the solution. Get people charged up at that cellular level, understanding the microbiome, understanding that you're in it for life.
And fascia. I want to start getting people understanding fascia.
Yes. Oh my God.
The intracellular matrix. And, because we still stuck even in naturopathic medicine. I speak to a lot of naturopathic doctors or practitioners, and although they're doing things more naturally and they understand that things are joined up, it's still at a system level. But really what we need to do is create meaningful change at a cellular level and, clear out the waste and get those drainage pathways moving. I say to people, like, you can't clean your kitchen if your hallway's backed up.
Right? That's a great analogy. Absolutely.
It can't work. Okay, so all of these things at a cellular level.
I don't know if you know Nicola Harkins from Body Connect. She was her that got me down the fascia rabbit hole, and I have just been, it is fascinating, and it changes everything. And these guys, the fascia guys in Norway, they're trying to get into the medics and say, this is a game changer, a completely different perception of the body, and why knees become painful and hips become painful. And maybe, a lot of these operations that we're doing are not necessary when you understand. And it's interesting because I've been doing a lot of work on my feet with Brooke McPoyle. I don't know if you know her name. I did her fascia course, and she's like, it starts at the feet. If you're squashed into shoes and they're tight, that's going to influence the entire body. She talks about the fascia bands, and it's just what a difference it makes. And that information should be general knowledge, really.
Yeah, and it's simple techniques that you can do at home, and it's not only joints and knee pain, back pain. People think when we talk about fascia, we're talking again a very sort of mechanical, structural problem. But if your fascia is not, moving properly, and your extracellular matrix is not flowing, you can chuck 1,000 supplements at it, all the supplements in the world. It's not getting into the cell. We've got to look at the cell membranes. We can't get the waste out. And then you go on to these big detoxification programs, which are amazing, yes, but we can't get the junk out of the cell because, the matrix is not flowing and the fascia is not moving.
Absolutely.
So it impacts everything.
I know, and I'm seeing as well now, because I didn't have a C-section, but I got sterilised, so I've got what would appear to be like a C-section scar, which has impacted on my lower back, and and also because of telling a lot of menopausal women, lift weights, and you're like, you can actually be making things worse if it's not done in an intelligent way of understanding, and also again how temperature affects the fascia. And that's why saunas are so incredible. And that's why people winter in the sun. Their body feels better because it's warm.
And the light and and I think, we just really need to get people understanding the body again, and that we're not just a whole bit of organs put together in one big meat package. There's energy. We're electrical beings, we're energetic beings. We need that energy to flow. And people are amazed when I say that to them. They're like, oh, really? And I was like, well, how do you think an ECG works? We need energy.
How do you think you can pick up your phone and talk to somebody on the other side of the world? How do you think that works? We just accept all these things and we don't realise that whole interconnectedness is, of course, actually palpable if we think about it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm really excited. I mean, it was, the Health Hub is absolutely amazing. If there's anybody on here that hasn't been, they need to visit.
Yes.
Some great things, and I follow you guys because you sort of like the lead on a lot of new, all these innovative technology that we can put in clinic that can help. It's not to substitute help.
No.
It's to support,
Well, exactly. I feel if we can get your energy up enough that you can make better choices, that you can see the light. And, because that's actually my favourite thing to teach, is getting up the emotional scale so that your perception brightens and changes. And so for me, the biotherapies, because I've got a client, she's right now, she said, I've not done a thing you've told me, but she's done the superhuman protocol and she's turned up for that, and the difference in her. And now she's like, now I'm ready to do, because I give people a lot of information, as I'm sure you do, and that, if they're exhausted, it just right over the top. So I'm excited to get the biotherapies all over the country so we can charge people at that level and hopefully get them. The critical mass, I don't know if I told you this, Marissa, it's 150,000. And I think when we can get to 150,000 people, we can definitely elevate and lift people out of suffering. And that's the goal.
And like I say to clients all the time, if you feel better and you've learned something, go and share that with 3 other people.
Pass it on. Great.
Just pass it on.
Yeah, great information. So listen, thank you so much. And we'll do another. I know you've got so many other things that we could talk about, but put me in your diary for another podcast soon, and we can because I think Alzheimer's as well is a really, really important subject. As somebody who nursed my mum, I think there's, it can cause so much stress and suffering to the carers, but a little bit of understanding of things that can help is critical. And it's, Heal Scotland's Educate, Inspire, Support. It's all about education, new understandings. It's hopeful. That's what I like. It's so exciting. I'm sure you're like that as well. When you see people getting well, it's the most rewarding thing in the world.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, you just want people to feel better.
Absolutely. Yeah, to stop the suffering. Okay, well, listen, you have a phenomenal weekend, and I'll see you.
Thank you. You too.
Your load gets lighter. Is it September, October?
October. Yeah. October is a little bit of a breather.
Okay, well, let's touch base again then and see what's going on.
Absolutely.
Okay. And thanks
great. Thank you so much for having me.
And thanks so much for everything you're doing. It's so inspiring.
Thank you. And you too.
Bye now.
Bye,
everyone.